I'm Gemma and this is Non-Fic Books and I have my monthly wrap-up for the month of October. Oh my dear. It's a sort of a mixed month this month. The beginning of the month I started reading quite a lot, and then at the end of the month it sort of fell away because I was visiting my family, and so not much reading was done. Lots of walking the dogs, and Batsford Arboretum is absolutely fabulous, so if you're around the Cotswolds area do go check that out. And I also saw The Theory of Everything, and while I might be about a year or two behind everyone else, it's fantastic. So if, like me, you don't get around to watching films very often and you haven't seen it, do go and watch it, because that was brilliant. Books. The first non-fiction book was Lucy Worsley's A Very British Murder, The Story of a National Obsession, which is a companion book with the TV programme that she presented a while back on it. And this is all about real-life crime and how that affected detective fiction and influenced and inspired it. This was brilliant. I love Lucy Worsley. I think her character is just so bubbly and she's really enthused about what she is talking about. I really enjoyed this book. I've got a more full video where I also recommend some of the detective fiction that this did inspire, and it's just brilliant. She's recently done a TV programme, A Very British Romance, and so I'm really hoping that there will be an equivalent companion book to go with that. And the next one, the video that I did for that I'll link down below, and then this next one also has a video that I will link down below, and that is Susan Hale's Howard's End is on the Landing, a year reading from home. This was really lovely. I love books about books, or books about people reading books, and Susan Hale came across as someone I would love to have afternoon tea with and discuss books. It's very much a memoir. I don't believe she spoils any of the books. I certainly can't remember being spoiled of any endings, which is quite a big problem in books about books, but I thought it was really, really fabulous, and it's totally inspired me to pick up, because I'd never read any of her fiction, The Woman in Black and Other Ghost Stories, which I thought would be an absolutely perfect Halloween read, because Halloween coming up and I'll also be going out to Whitby for the Goth Festival, so I thought this is the perfect book to have in my bag for all of those little lulls. The next one is one I'm quite torn about, and that's Frances Osborne's The Bolter, which is looking at the life of Adina Sackville. Adina Sackville was absolutely fascinating. She lived an absolutely just immense life. She was married and divorced, I think, 5 times. She bounced between the UK and Kenya, where she had a number of different farms. And she was really, really interesting. I'm not sure I would have actually liked her if I met her, but interesting nonetheless. But Frances Osborne is a descendant of hers. It's either great-granddaughter or great-great-granddaughter. And she's so biased. She'd heard stories about her when she was growing up, and she became obviously quite enamoured with her and found her a very romantic character. And this does bias some of the research that she does, and certainly the interpretation she makes about other people, in particular the first husband. And I thought that really coloured the book in quite a negative way. But I have done some research about her, as in about Adina Sackville, and there aren't too many other books out there about her. So if you're interested in the character, this is one to pick up, but I wish there was a little bit better research out there, because fascinating character, not particularly well executed. Writing, however, very readable, very enjoyable, and the pictures are great, but just sadly a little bit too biased. And those are all of the non-fiction books that I've actually finished this month. The one that I'm sort of reading at the moment that I hope to finish pretty shortly, because obviously with non-fiction November this coming up, I need to get this done so I can crack on with those books. And this is The Land Where Lemons Grow by Helena Attlee. This is one of the books I'm reading as part of the Stanford Dolman shortlist. It's fabulous. It's all about Italy and citrus fruit, and it's sort of travel fiction, but it's much more about the history of citrus fruit and the places where citrus fruit were very dominant and important roles. And it's really beautiful. Her writing is wonderful. You can tell she loves Italy. And oh my goodness, with all this grey, miserable weather at the moment, I am desperate to go back to Italy after reading this. And then apart from the 4 books that I'm meant to be reading for non-fiction November next month, which again, I'll leave the video telling you about that down below in case you don't know about it, it's Moonstone by Wilkie Collins. I'm totally in love with this book so far. I'm only 50 pages in, but it's absolutely wonderful so far. It's very slow paced and slow reading, So I think that this entire book is going to take me most of November around the 4 books that I'll be reading for non-fiction November. So I don't imagine I'm going to be reading too many other non-fiction books in the month, because this, and also how absolutely stunning is this beautiful. I think it's an Alma classic, and they have some really, really beautiful classics, and they're only about £5, so a little bit more than some of your absolute cheapest classics, but still a really beautiful edition, but that you could throw in your bag and actually take around with you and not be too precious about. So yes, those are the books that I read in the month. Overall, it was a pretty good reading month. I enjoyed most of them, even the Bolter that wasn't perfect. It was still a very enjoyable read because of the subject matter. So overall, really interesting books, and I do recommend them. If you've got any questions or comments, or if you've got any recommendations based on those, please do leave them down below, and hopefully I will see you in a few days' time for Non-Fiction November. Bye!